I was driving back from a 16 hours road trip to see a family, and I was about an hour from home. The whole trip was just 4 days long, so I was pretty sleep deprived and had been driving by myself with very few stops. I was cruising on the highway, and in front of me was a tunnel through the mountains. I hadn't driven through a tunnel on the way out of the state, so I became alarmed when I had been driving the wrong way. I checked my GPS but had no signal on my phone. Unusual, the whole trip I normally have signal. I immediately took the exit before the tunnel to get my bearings. It was a big circle exit, and at the end was a four-way stop with a flashing traffic light. I took a left, and the only thing around was a small 50s-style diner and a parking lot. All the lights were off in the diner, obviously closed, but the parking lot was full of cars. Like, packed. There were old classic cars and new cars, but there was not a single soul to be seen. It was around 3 a.m., so I didn't expect a crowd, but there wasn't a hotel or homes nearby, just closed diner and parking lot full of cars. I didn't even slow down. I noped out of there so hard, pulled away in the street, and drove back to the ramp onto the highway. Once I was back on the highway, I drove for about 30 minutes until the GPS came back. I was actually pretty close to home. My friend and I once drove back to find the diner, but we never could find it, or the tunnel. I like to think that if I would have pulled into the parking lot, my car might have been added to the collection and no one would have seen me again. Last summer, my car was in the shop for quite a while, so I had to depend on rides from friends and such to get around. One morning, my housemate woke me up saying there was some guy at the door looking for me. I tossed on some clothes and went to see who it was. This man, I'd never met him before in my life, made me really nervous too, because even though he seemed friendly, the fact that he knew my name and where I lived, well, I thought maybe it was a stalker customer from work or something worse. Turns out, he insisted I take $40 from him. According to him, I had loaned him that money the night before at a nearby gas station, and as promised, he was paying me back. Only, I had not been to a gas station. In fact, at the same time he said we'd met, I'd actually been at work. He looked at me like I was nuts when I said all this and eventually just told me, "Okay, well, I don't know, but you gave me your address to mail you a check, but since you live close by, I just decided to pay you in cash." In the end, I took the money. Why not? Free $40? Yay! But I was sort of freaked out. Maybe this guy was a stalker and this was some sort of elaborate ruse to meet me, right? Then this happened. 3 days later, I had my car again after forever. I stopped at a nearby gas station, but paid inside because I wanted some bottled water too. There was one guy in front of me in line, arguing with the cashier. Apparently, he wanted to put $30 in gas in his truck and buy a pack of cigarettes, but his credit card kept being declined. This stranger, who looked nothing like the other stranger from a few days earlier, was begging for a break. He'd leave his phone, his wallet, anything as a collateral. He just needed a gas to go home really quick and get some cash, then he'd be right back to pay, but the cashier refused. Finally, I just said, "That's like $40, right? For the gas and cigarettes?" Yep, I ended up giving him the same two $20 bills the first stranger had given me a few days earlier. He kept saying, bless you, what's your name? I'll pay you back. Where do you live? I swear I'll pay you back right away." I was so freaked out by the coincidence, strangeness of it all, that I decided to break the circle. I gave him a fake name and told him he could pay me back the next day at a store I don't work at. Was that disrespectful of me? I don't know. All I know is that I felt like I had to break the loop, or else I might forevermore be meeting strangers who either needed $40 or have $40 to give me. Never saw either of those gentlemen again, by the way. I know, probably a coincidence. Definitely, actually. But still, how did the first stranger know my name and where I lived? About About 12 years ago, I met a guy online and we started talking. I will call him Ned. At this time, I was at a very lonely point in my life. Ned seemed nice and was very attentive, which I welcomed. He and I talked a lot over the phone and text over several days. Then we agreed to meet in person. On the day we had agreed to meet, I rode a subway, about a 45-minute ride over to the city. We were supposed to meet at the station and then go to dinner at a nearby restaurant that we could walk to and see if there was a rapport in person. As soon as I got on the subway, I couldn't shake an uneasy feeling which was starting to come over me. Each stop, I get a bit more sense of dread. I wondered if it was normal first date nerves or something else. I sent Ned a text telling him I was on my way. He replied when I was almost there and said that he instead wanted to go somewhere private when I arrived and made a sexual reference. This really worried me since I don't know him well yet. As the subway rode on, I considered whether to go through with meeting him or not. Soon, I was at the stop where I had agreed to meet Ned. I got off the train, I had a view of the parking lot, past the gates, and I looked out. I saw Ned, recognizing him from the photo, waiting for me. Then, all of a sudden, my brother called me out of the blue. I answered. My brother asked me what I was doing right now. I told him that I had been planning to meet someone but was considering calling it off. My brother said that he had called because for some reason he had suddenly gotten the feeling that I was in trouble and that he should call me immediately and find out what was going on. My brother does not normally do this. I had not told my brother or anyone else about Ned, nor had I told anyone else that I was going to meet him, or where I was going at all that night. I still have no logical explanation for how my brother knew that something was wrong. My brother has an uncanny way of knowing certain things sometimes, in ways that even he cannot explain. When he called me, I decided not to meet Ned. I texted Ned and told him I'm sorry. I cannot meet you. I don't feel right about this. As it turned out, there was a good reason not to meet with Ned. He was really a jerk about the whole thing and sent me several insulting, sexist, disparaging, and guilt-tripping texts in the few days following. He seemed like someone who would have likely been an abuser, and maybe he was dangerous. I'm not sure how my brother knew, but it seems that this glitch in the matrix was helpful. On a separate occasion, a couple of months ago, my brother and I both had dreams about our deceased grandmother. Our dreams were within a few days of each other. Neither of us often dreamed about dead people. We both had vivid dreams about her, and we both felt that she was visiting us.